Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Here on Today in the News, read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And this morning on the paper review, I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with petrol price hike, NACCIMA, PDP, Atiku, CSOs, others insist on reversal. Hike will worsen plight of businesses and households, that's according to NACCIMA. PDP demands reversal of anti-people policies. Tinubu undisturbed by hardship in Nigeria, that's according to Atiku. JF asks Labour to provide leadership for resistance. NNPP begs Tinubu to reverse hike, Senate to intervene if, that according to Akpabio. NNPC has no power to increase fuel price, that's coming from Falana. Dangote economical with over retail price. TUC urges federal government to create special forex scheme for Dangote, and all this can be seen on page 5. On page 9, save judiciary from collapse needs total overhauling. Clark writes CJN. And on page 6, death penalty, 3,650 inmates on death row nationwide. That's according to ASF. Rivers Assembly crisis, appeal court affirms Amaewule as a speaker. On sports, page 31, AFCON 2025 quarter. Don't undermine Libya and wants Super Eagles. And stories above on page 8. My husband not cause of current hardship, that's coming from Remi Tinubu. Deny allocations to local government areas where selection were done, Senate tells federal government. KIDNAP, police rescue 6 sport journalists. You can see that on page 30 and on page 4. NIN-SIM linkage of all phones number completed. That's according to NCC. And away from there, we'll move to the Punch newspaper. The Punch this morning is leading with petrol price hike, Ipman tackles NNPCL, threatens to stop operations. You can see that on page 2. Marketers accuse NNPCL of inflating Dangote petrol price. Miman continues loading subsidized PMS. And here there's a picture with a rider that says Sanwo-Olu inspect ongoing 7-story new Marseille Children's Hospital. You can see that on page 16. On page 21, data voice services fetch MTN Airtel 3.6 trillion naira. Lebanese jailed 14 years for sexually exploiting 2 teenage girls. Why military hasn't gone after Asari Dokubo? That's according to Defense Headquarters, DHQ. You can see that on page 14. Above the banner, 7 banks pay 392 billion naira tax. That's according to report. Fubara heads to Supreme Court as appeal court affirms pro-Wike lawmakers. That can be seen on page 19. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper on page 16, Oyedepo's 2 deputies step down next week. Away from there, we'll move to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian this morning is leading with where anti-graft eagle turns a blind eye to sacred cows. And the kicker says war against corruption. You can see the big story pages 4 and 5 for that. On page 3, my husband not greedy, working for better future. News page 6, Atiku, CUPP, TUC, others knock Tinubu over handling of fuel subsidy. Chetima Kalu, Abiodun decry rising population of uneducated kids, urge action. You can see that on news page 29. Don't dare military, defense headquarters wants Asari Dokubo. You can see that on news page 28. And lastly, on the Guardian newspaper on news page 7, reps kick against multiple tax burdens on Nigeria. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin, and let's move straight to some of the stories on the front pages this morning. And we are starting with the petrol issue currently going on in the country. Opposition against the hike in petrol price by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited (NNPCL) yesterday swelled as the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture (NACCIMA), the People's Democratic Party (PDP) former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, civil society organizations (CSOs) among others insisted on the immediate reversal of the price increase to the old regime. Recall that the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association (NECA) and the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Baptist Conference, and Association of Senior Staffs of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions, as briefly among others, had earlier demanded for the immediate reversal of the hike. This came as chairman Alliance on the Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, ASCAP, Femi Falana contended that the NNPCL's decision to fix prices of petrol was illegal, a nullity and void, saying it contravenes Section 205 of the Petroleum Industrial Act. Now, reacting to the increase, President of NACCIMA Adelioye said it will worsen the plight of businesses and households in Nigeria. Appraising economic implications of the hike, Oye noted that it will lead to increase in transportation costs, which will serve as a catalyst for higher freight charges and exacerbate the already high inflation rate in the country, and further strain the already meager resources of micro, small and medium enterprises (MSMEs), and that rely heavily on petrol generators to power their operations. And the People's Democratic Party (PDP) also asked President Bola Tinubu-led All Progressive Congress (APC) administration to immediately reverse its anti-people policies to reduce the worsening economic condition of Nigerians. Also faulting the hike in petrol prices, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar yesterday lampooned President Tinubu, saying he is undisturbed by hardship in Nigeria. In a statement yesterday via X, Atiku described Tinubu as a T-Pain, adding that the handling of petrol subsidy by his administration caused the current economic crisis in Nigeria. Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the Senate will intervene in the latest hike in the pump price of petrol if need arises. And responding to a question on the hike during the commissioning of the News Press Center for Senate correspondent, Akpabio said, "I have not assessed what is happening in the terms of pump price of what we consume. If it means if you have 5 cars, you will now use 1 or 2. And condemning the hike, umbrella body for pro-people CSO, the Joint Action Front, JAF, called on the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and its Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, to lead the fight against the price hike. And similarly, one of the major grassroots-based CSO movement for a socialist alternative, MSA, said the latest hike is clear continuation of President Tinubu's regime trend of inflicting severe economic hardship on the populace, who now face an even more precarious financial situation. But still talking about the hardship in the country, the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Remi Tinubu, has affirmed that her husband, President Bola Tinubu, is not driven by greed, but is committed to making Nigeria great. During a visit to the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi, and other traditional rulers at the Ooni's Palace in Ile-Ife, she emphasized that the president is a contented leader focused on the country's progress. The visit also marked the commissioning of the 2.7-kilometer Remi Tinubu Way and Pavilion at Obafemi Awolowo University, a project in her honor by the monarch. She urged Nigerians to support the Tinubu's administration's effort to elevate the nation, noting that its reforms are already showing positive results. Reflecting on her and her husband's journey, she added, We give glory to God for our position. My husband and I are not greedy. We thank God for what he has done for us. We cannot disappoint Nigeria. And with God's help, we will reach the promised land in no distant time. End of quote. Now, addressing a student at Oduduwa Hall, OAU, before the project commissioning, Senator Tinubu encouraged them to take advantage of the opportunities provided by the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, to acquire quality education and skills. She emphasized the administration's focus on education as a priority. She further highlighted efforts by initiative, the Renewed Hope Initiative RHI, which provides scholarship and laptops to 47 indigent students nationwide throughout the National Scholarship Program, NASP. Each student receives 1 million naira annually for the duration of the studies. To get more details on that story, you can visit our website. Now, let's move on and talk about the rescued, kidnapped sport journalist. 6 sports journalists who were kidnapped by suspected hoodlums in the Iseke community, Yala local government area of Anambra State, have been rescued by the police. The journalists who were en route to Uyo, Akwa Ibom State to cover Nigeria versus Libya African Cup of Nations qualifying match were abducted on Wednesday while traveling through the Iseke Olu Road. Confirming the rescue on Thursday, the spokesperson for the Anambra State Police Command, SP Tochukwu Ikenga, said that joint security forces had successfully freed 6 of the journalists while efforts are ongoing to locate and rescue the 7th member of the crew. Now, joint security forces have rescued 6 members of the media crew who were abducted while traveling from Lagos to Uyo, Ikega said in a statement. He assured that all operations are still ongoing to rescue the last journalists and bring the perpetrators to justice. And now let's end this on a lighter note this morning with Mr. and Mrs. The first person speaking today is Mrs. Mrs. says, everybody warned me of him when he was introduced as Mr. Petrol. People were angry when the compare later pronounced his name properly. And Mr. replied, which is? Mrs. says, Pedro. These people are just making a joke out of what is currently going on in the country. But of course, give it to Mr. and Mrs. to put a smile on our faces and, just try to calm the tough situation down with a play of words. Well, this is where we have to draw the curtain today. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can